Hello everybody, this is Craig Evans of Autism Hangout, and thank you for tuning in to another special report. In this particular special report, we're going to be talking to an author, and this particular author is one of my favorite to talk to because she's always in a good attitude. And frankly, she wrote the book on attitude. Her first book was It's All About Attitude that she co-wrote with Kathy Almeida. So Autism Hangout, I'd like to have you welcome, please, Gayle Nobel. Gayle, welcome back to Autism Hangout.
Thanks so much, Craig. It's good to be here.
Well, I know that most folks are going to recognize your face because in addition to having talked about your previous book, you were gracious and kind enough to come back to Autism Hangout on a monthly basis and leave us with an attitude moment so all of us can learn to live with better attitudes as it relates to autism. And I thank you for that and for everybody out there in Autism the Hangout land. But I also know that in response to this, you've had people write you and ask you for more insights and clues as to how to have a better attitude. And so can I assume that that's what this new book is about, how to maintain a better attitude?
Yes, you can definitely assume that. There's actually a lot of facets to the book, but yes, it is taking It's All About Attitude one step further and actually giving readers some very specific, easy to do in a short amount of time tools to help their attitude and just really add to their quality of life.
Okay, and one of the things that your first book was so good about was finding things that people do on a daily basis and using those common functions or activities to remind you how to have a better attitude. So is this new book a little bit more about that?
Yes, it is a little bit. I do share a lot of personal stories, as I did in the first book, but they kind of have a twist in that I also share tools that I use and have used to just make living with autism a little bit easier. Yeah. So in that respect, it's similar, but it's not similar because it really gives people very specific things that they can do.
Okay, well maybe let's start with a couple of those specifics. Could you give us an example of what somebody might do when they first get up in the morning that will help them with a better attitude?
Well, I mean, probably the one thing would be just talking about gratitude, which I have a lot of sprinkled throughout the book, and here you are, and you have another new day that's kind of like a brand new canvas that you get to paint your life on. And, each day is really a gift because there aren't any guarantees, I suppose, that any of us are going to wake up in the morning to begin with. So being grateful, saying a little thank you, I'm here kind of thing.
Okay. And I know that as you go throughout your day and different things happen, there's common things that everybody does, like just breathe. Well, how could you tie something as simple as breathing into a good attitude?
Well, yeah, breathing is definitely a big theme in my book, and the one reason is because it's simple and it's effective for relieving stress, calming you down, pausing in the midst of chaos, being less reactive. It improves your health. I mean, I can go on and on about breathing, but here's the thing, and I'll share with you a little bit of a part of a story from the book, in that I speak of something I'm sure most parents can relate to with kids, but especially with our kids with autism, and that sometimes mornings when you're trying to get ready to go someplace, to get your child to school or to whatever program, it gets pretty hectic. And a lot of times you find yourself running behind. At least I do. Maybe that's just me. But, you're running behind, you have a lot going on, maybe you have other kids, and your child with autism just is not maybe cooperating with the speed at which you would like to have things happen. And this happens in my house regularly. My son needs help in the morning, and he has his own agenda, and I have my agenda, and they don't always mix. And sometimes it's kind of a struggle to get going because you're wanting to move quickly and your child is distracted by something or doing their own thing. And I share a story in the book where I had a morning like this, and after kind of struggling for a bit, I just decided to stop. and I think I took 5 deep breaths or something, and I realized that this wasn't working. And I decided to switch gears. I left him to go prepare breakfast or whatever I did. But the breathing helped me become more aware that, boy, I'm not getting anywhere, and the tension is elevating here. So I think breathing is a way of stopping, pausing, and reflecting on, hey, what's going on in this very moment, and what maybe I should do differently. And just calming yourself, because you get worked into a frenzy, and so does your child.
Well,
so
I do know that based on your first book and what I've read of your second book is that you are very tuned in to not just your child's emotion, which is easy for us as parents of kids with autism to do. We just automatically react when we see something over there and we're trying to affect it. But you continually bring the focus back to things that you can do inside of yourself that will help you maintain that calm. And you continue to look around for external things or other things that happen in your environment to remind you to stay calm.
There are several things. One thing is actually, and we'll get back to gratitude a little bit, but it's writing. And I don't mean write a book. I mean, scribble down 5 things you love about your child. Scribble down 5 things you're grateful for. Start a gratitude journal. Scribble down 1 thing. It doesn't really matter, but it's going to help you kind of create a shift and have a little bit of focus on gratitude, because it's really easy with a child with autism to focus on what's wrong and what's not there and what's missing. And we forget to be grateful. And the gratefulness is like the sweet spot in life. It's the good stuff. So writing those things down and looking back on it, reading it when you're having a rough day, read your gratitude journal for 2 minutes. So I would say writing with gratitude and exercise. And exercise has so many benefits, and I know we hear it all the time, but it really affects those neurotransmitters and our brain chemicals and makes us feel better, no matter what's going on. And I know it feels like we don't have time, but one of the things I suggest, and this book is all about things you can do in 5 minutes or less. So you can exercise in 5 minutes. You can dance around your living room, you could do some jumping jacks, whatever. If you only have 5, just do something to get the blood flowing, and then maybe it'll become a habit and you'll want to do more. So their exercise, and one of the other things I would share would be reaching out for support and connecting with others, with other parents, or with others that just can help and support you, and not being afraid to ask. And I do share some stories in the book about that.
When you start talking about the difference between gratitude, the other side of that coin is what's called entitlement. And all of us have a tendency to look at our first situation and say, well, why was I handed this? I should have been able to have a child that didn't have these problems. I should be entitled to something. One of the first things you need to get past is that you are not entitled to anything. But if you stop for a moment and start looking at the things that did come your way and are grateful for the things that came your way, your whole attitude gives way to one of much more peace. Okay, Gayle, if people are looking for more information on you or more information on your book, where should they go?
Okay, my website has a lot of information. It's www.autismwithattitude.com. Just go to the contact page, and there's also a phone number on the website as well. www.autismwithattitude. I've got to love that just as a URL. Well, Gayle, thank you again for stopping by today and telling us about your writings. Thank you for continuing to write. And for everybody at Autism Hangout, thank you for giving us your attitude moments on a monthly basis, because they are extremely helpful to all of us. Well, there'll be more to come. Thank you.
That's great. Good luck with the new book, and we'll probably talk again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gayle, and thanks everybody from Autism Hangout. I'll be back again soon with another special report.